Get ready to witness your elf on the shelf like never before. Today, we're sharing the most unbelievable sightings caught on camera, so don't forget to like this video, subscribe, and let's dive right into the magic.
Now we have a clip that shows an elf who has become pregnant. I don't know about you guys, but I've never seen anything like this before. This very well might be the first pregnant elf on the shelf recorded on camera, and luckily the elf starts talking and explaining herself, so let's hear her out. Now, this clip captures elves doing something I didn't think was possible. These elves crafted a makeshift hot air balloon and started flying across the room with two of their babies in the basket. Maybe these elves got tired of working for Santa and wanted to go on a short vacation, or maybe they just got bored with sitting at their owner's house and wanted to have some fun with their babies, or maybe the elves just wanted to impress their owners. We will probably never know, but this clip is a great example of the ingenuity that some of these elves have.
What are you doing on top of their hot air balloon? Whoa, it's so pretty with all the snowflakes. Are you two having a fun time? Boy, what were you two thinking? I cannot believe they're flying on top. Well, if you guys like this video, don't forget to like it down below. And if you'd like to see more crazy things that my elves do, you're welcome to subscribe to my channel. Check out things that they do now, things that they do in the future, and things that they used to do.
So this dad set up security cameras in his kid's room to capture the elf, and they were checking out the footage, which is just insane, and I can't believe it's real. Do you think this elf on the shelf started moving around the camera, or is this fake? The elf on the shelf doesn't want to be seen moving when people are around, but in this case, it did start moving while on camera. I don't see how you could fake this, but you can see that the elf on the shelf is moving out of the box, jumping out of the box, and roaming all over the room, and it's absolutely spectacular, so let's check it out. This elf on the shelf got super mad at the kids for making it angry, and it got discovered sitting and flipping one of the kids off. The elf even left a note explaining that it's angry because the kids were behaving badly towards it. And well, while the elf should be setting a good example for the kids to follow, we can't blame it for losing its temper. In this clip, we have a curious elf on the shelf who noticed the hidden security camera and decided to pick it up and record a short vlog. The elf carries the camera to another spot before placing it down and dancing right in front of it. The elf was probably interested in human technology and decided to experiment and record its own vlog. This clip shows two elves bringing a magical gift to their owner. This owner pops up this little treasure chest and discovers golden glitter inside, but after digging through it, she finds a magical key. We don't know what this key can unlock yet. Maybe it's a key to the magical doors leading to the North Pole. If that's the case, this present is a spectacular one, and the owner of one of these elves should be very happy to receive it.
Magic? Okay, let's dig and see if we can find a toy. It's supposed to be a shiny new toy. Don't see anything quite yet. Much glitter. Do you see all that? It's like magic. Oh, I feel something. Oh, look. Do you see that? Okay, I think I found it. Oh, wow. It looks like it's a key. Do you see that? It says okay on it.
For this short clip, we have an elf who's lying down on its side and shaking. One evening, the owner found their elf this way and it just kept shaking. We don't know whether the elf was ill or just messing with its owner, but it's pretty strange nonetheless. This guy wanted to cut his elf on the shelf open to see what was inside of it, and you should never hurt your elves on a shelf like that because they're live creatures, and as you will see, the elf just disappeared from the table and just reappeared on the ceiling, meanwhile shutting off the lights. This is one of the creepiest elf on the shelf sightings ever.
What the heck? Yo, I don't know how he's able to do this, and I don't know why his eyes are glowing red, but I don't like this. Yo, what the? Cause he just disappeared. What the heck? His eyes are there now. Where did he go? Elf, where are you?
The elf on the shelf phenomenon is a Christmas tradition in which elves go around the neighborhood to spy on children and see if they're being good or bad. This elf has no idea that he was being watched by a drone camera as he went around the town. Luckily, he didn't break the speed limit, and this clip just shows how hard the elves are working. This is definitely not your traditional elf on the shelf caught moving on camera clip, but it's a fun one nonetheless. The elf jumps off the hearth to attack its owner, and after this intense fight, the elf emerges as the winner, leaving its owner lying unconscious on the ground. Luckily, the rest of the family return home in time to help the guy.
Oh, I don't think so. I'm not today. Oh, what? Where did he go? Oh.
Honey, it's Daddy. Oh no. At least the elf's okay.
In this clip, we can see an elf happily walking and dancing in the living room. At one point, the elf takes off for a brief flight, but then returns to the ground soon after. Most elves can fly, but it requires a lot of energy, and that's why elves avoid flying all over the place, even if it's really fun. The elf hops around the living room for a while before its owner comes into the room, making the elf go limp. This clip captures one elf who's wearing green clothes turning his fellow elf into a pile of candy cane dust. The owner of these elves was shocked to discover what looks to be a crime scene, and we can only hope that the other elf will return to normal instead of remaining just a pile of crushed candy canes. Who knew that elves could use such dangerous magic? Just imagine if your elf would decide to cast this spell on you and turn you into candy cane dust.
Start the elf off the shelf. And then this is what I discovered. It is, wait, is this, it looks like, yeah, it is. It's Buddy's hat, the elf on the shelf, and what in the world? He turned into something. Was it Zart? What is this something? Look, let's take a close-up look. Whoa! Whoa, yeah, it does. It looks like candy cane mints. Buddy? Oh dear. Zart, what in the world did you do?
In this clip, we have an elf on the shelf who started moving in the middle of the night, but as soon as it started moving, it noticed the secret camera and escaped from the frame. However, sometime later, it returned and we could see its tiny little legs moving around, until finally the elf gets tired and sits back down in its spot. These two guys failed to catch their elf moving, so they had a genius idea of watching the elf moving next to their elf while recording it with a secret camera. Their plan worked out because their elf started moving and its eyes even changed color at the end of the clip. It's one of the most fascinating elf on the shelf caught moving clips ever, so let's enjoy it together.
We thought at the beginning the elves were like regular humans, but really, it really shows when an actual human's beside them, right?
The Wolf Pharaoh's tall. He's like 6'5".
Yeah, but I mean, nah, but compared to these guys, look at them. They look like little shrimps. It's like me versus like you or something.
It looks awesome. Look at the it has like a speed.
Dude, that thing.
After watching this clip, we've concluded that there couldn't be any other stranger elf on the shelf caught on camera clips on the internet. In this clip, an elf on the shelf was caught redecorating the kitchen of its owners, and it's not the kind of decoration you would ever expect to see anywhere. We think we just found the greatest elf prankster ever. Up next, we have a clip of this girl setting up a camera right in front of an elf who's sitting right under the Christmas tree. As soon as the girl leaves the room, the elf uses magic to teleport out of sight only to reappear right in front of the camera. The elf starts moving and leaves the frame before returning right in front of it shortly after. What a wonderful clip of an elf on the shelf moving. Now we have a clip of a baby elf that was flying with methods that are more traditional instead of using hot air balloons or airplanes. This baby elf was using magic to fly. This elf is also way cuter and even more powerful than the normal elves that we're used to, so the guy that recorded him put a secret camera in his living room to record him throughout the night, and he ended up catching this cute little flying elf around the room back and forth until it reached the table and noticed the secret camera recording him, so the elf got scared and turned it off.
We think one of the things elves don't account for is getting caught on camera while moving, even though they're supposed to not have the ability to move at all. However, as soon as this particular elf noticed the camera, it went into its hiding mode immediately, just to avoid getting captured.
Now we have this woman who set up a security camera in the living room in front of the Christmas tree, and on top of which you can see the elf on the shelf sitting still. Sometime later, the woman leaves the room, and then the elf comes to life and starts moving, climbing down the Christmas tree and leaving the frame. Perhaps it went on to have a whole nighttime adventure, but we can't say for sure. We have a clip of this guy having dinner with his elf, and as he finishes eating, he stood up and left the room, but unbeknownst to the elf, his owner left a hidden camera right in front of the elf. The elf ends up getting captured by a camera and coming to life and moving around. It even peeks into the cup to see what the owner was drinking.
This dad decided to catch their elf on the shelf just a few days after Thanksgiving because he has tried many times before, but has yet to be able to catch anyone moving. He can only hope that an elf was caught this time. However, because they don't have a chimney, they think that the elf on the shelf will most likely come into their home through the front doors. As a result, he set up cameras and lights right at the entrance, and after a few hours of waiting, the elves finally came through the door just as the dad predicted. This is a perfect elf on the shelf clip, so let's enjoy it together.
This family set up security cameras right in front of their Christmas tree to see if they could capture any of their elves moving. For weeks, they waited without capturing anything spectacular until one of the elves started moving on Christmas. This cute elf slowly stands up, leans into the camera, and takes off flying.
In this clip, YouTube Meeble Spirella managed to catch their elves on the shelf sneaking various candies and sweets.
From hiding behind the wall to coming out to play around the house to finally choosing the right spot to hide to avoid cameras, this elf has got a lot of decisions to make. Okay, you guys might be shocked about what you're about to see, but behold, it's an elf on the shelf. This time, it's just really gonna be fun. Well, this elf on the shelf was just getting caught out of bed going to the bathroom, but he can't seem to be able to lift the toilet seat. And here's the funny part, he decides to wee all over the bathroom sink instead. What a silly elf, right guys? This elf noticed that his owners were trying to capture him moving on camera, but instead of sitting still and not moving at all, he decided to wave at the camera, gifting us this wonderful clip. This clip starts off like many Elf on the Shelf caught moving clips, by the elf approaching the camera, but unlike many other elves who take interest in cameras, this one was angry that it was recording and literally flipped it open. We can't really blame the elf because they can't allow themselves to be caught moving.
It doesn't matter how long it takes when an elf on the shelf decides to do something because they do it eventually. In this clip, a kid sets up a hidden camera to catch his elf on the shelf moving on camera, and what this camera managed to capture will scare you and will make you question everything you know about elves on the shelf, so let's check it out.
Here we have another clip showcasing elves eating their Thanksgiving dinner. The elves can be seen with evidence of the food they stole right in their mouth. We can't blame them because they might have known that they might not be invited to Thanksgiving, so they decided to take food for themselves.
Well, look at the mashed potatoes. Mabel started mashing them. She's so sick.
Elf on the Shelf was caught on camera moving from one place to another. The elf was caught riding a tiny toy horse and being accompanied by another doll, but it left the other two to climb up the chair, but then jump on the table to find itself a hiding spot, so let's check it out.
For this short clip, we have footage of a security camera at a garage. It captured an elf who entered the garage, turned on the lights, and looked straight at the camera. The elf was probably planning to do something more, but it noticed the camera and escaped the scene. Now we have a clip of an elf who started moving at midnight, and at first, the elf climbed up the Christmas tree, and that's when it probably noticed the camera recording it, but instead of running away, the elf slowly made its way down the Christmas tree and approached the camera, giving it a long examination. This elf was really curious about the camera and wasn't afraid of it at all.
Now this elf probably wants to be a YouTube vlogger instead of working for Santa because this clip is seemingly recorded by the elf himself by carrying a camera that was left next to it. The elf probably understood that his owner wants to capture it moving, so the elf decided to do him a favor and record his entire walk throughout the house.
This guy captured a strange clip of his elf on the shelf teleporting around his house. You can see the elf flying through the air into the frame before landing on the ground, but when its owner points its camera at it, the elf disappears and no one knows where it went next. It's one of the spookiest elf on the shelf clips moving so far, so let's check it out.
Yo, where did it go? It was right here, Mr. Elf.
For the elf on the shelf in this clip, nighttime means playtime. In this clip, an elf on the shelf can be seen moving and trying to wake up its sleeping friends. After a long time of disturbance, it eventually falls on its friends and joins the sleeping camp. Elves also need rest.
This clip shows an entire elf family stuck inside a lantern. You can see a grown-up elf with several of its babies, which are wearing many different colors. We don't know how all of them ended up being stuck there, but luckily one of the elves started talking and tells us an entire story, so let's keep watching until the end.
It's kind of hard to explain, but Dark saw this glowing magical light, and he thought we would like to hang out inside of it, but then he put us all inside, and then he closed it and locked it It's a big rock, and now we're all trapped inside here. And I was hoping maybe, just maybe, you could use your magic gloves and help save us.
Now, this kid practically was informing his father that he did not believe in the elf on the shelf's existence, and we can't blame him, because these days many people don't believe in magical elves. Anyways, this kid was telling his father that he doesn't believe it, and he has no idea what he was talking about. When he returned to his room, an elf on the shelf actually emerged and began flying around. And then the elf on the shelf began to perform various additional actions. Now, obviously, it's just flying around the house and flying around his room, but something crazier happens at the end of the clip, so stay tuned for that.
What is it? What?
He moved.
Who?
The elf on the shelf.
An elf on the shelf was caught on camera, actually teasing the viewers. The elf in this clip is seen playing hide and seek with the camera. How cute.
In this clip, a hidden camera caught an elf on the shelf moving, but not just that, the elf itself was also seen flying around the house on what seemed to be a magical skateboard before finally finding a place to rest. This is just amazing to see, don't you think? This clip is a short segment from a TV news report that shows one elf on the shelf doing all sorts of crazy stuff on camera. So you're not supposed to see an elf on the shelf with your own two eyes because apparently the elves can lose their magical powers if that happens. But if you record them on camera, nothing bad ends up happening to them, so keep on watching. This clip shows 3 to 4 elves in a Spider-Man toy sitting on an empty strawberry carton, while a super rare black elf is pushing them from behind until the carton starts sliding down the stairs as if it were a sled. It looks super fun, but they end up crashing terribly at the bottom of the staircase. These elves are super naughty because they're supposed to be investigating the children and they see if they're acting good enough to get the gifts from Santa, but who's looking over the elves? If someone would send this clip to Santa, these elves would definitely get fired, so let's check it out.
Okay, you won't be able to convince me any longer that these elves didn't develop a taste for cereal at this point, due to the fact that this family has heard noises coming from cereal boxes the night before. The family was determined to find out what the elf was up to and trapped him before it could get away, so the next day they decided to set up a camera in order to catch their elf in the act. The hunch was correct, and he was actually hanging around and snacking on some sugar cookie cereal. But more than that, he appears to be in a state of limbo, and that's just what you get for being a glutton. Anyways, let's have a look at this clip and see what happens at the end. For this clip, we have an incredible sighting of an elf appearing in front of the camera out of thin air before slowly making its way towards the recording device. Not long after, the elf uses its magic again to vanish out of thin air, but just a second later, the camera starts shaking and another elf on the shelf pops right into frame.
This clip was captured by a spy camera and it shows an elf on the shelf who's trying to escape the house. While it should be happy to be spending time with a company containing other toys and dolls, this elf isn't so and decides to sneak around.
In this clip, we have a rare type of elf on the shelf, and at very first it was laying dormant until suddenly it started moving, leaving the frame before returning and making its way towards the camera. The elf gives it a good look before noticing that it's recording, and because the elves are super instructed by Santa not to get caught moving, the elf quickly disappears from sight.
Two elves on the shelf displayed impressive magic when they both decided to use magic to create a Christmas tree in their owner's house, and then the elves joined hands together like lovers facing the Christmas tree. That's probably the most romantic elf on the shelf clip ever, so enjoy it to the fullest.
For this clip, we have footage from a hidden security camera in the kitchen, and one night the camera captured this wonderful moment of an elf on the shelf moving its face right into the lens before starting to dance and hop around on the kitchen counter. The elf had some midnight fun and finally takes off the counter.